The BlokeBusters podcast is proud to be a member of the Pod Bros Network. You can find us, as well as other fantastic podcasts, such as Pencil and Ink Review, Another Damn Trivia Show, and Language of Bromance at podbros.com, as well as on most other fine podcasting services. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to share and enjoy the BlokeBusters podcast.
Welcome to episode 62 of the BlokeBusters podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Brian.
And today we'll be talking about Turbo Kid. Now let's get the housekeeping out of the way, as always.
Okay.
Find us on Twitter at BlokeBusters, on Facebook.com/BlokeBusters. Email us at blokebusterpodcast@gmail.com. No S at the end of BlokeBusters there. And we have a website, blokebusters.webs.com. It's a nice little thing. Yes, I enjoy just updating it every now and again. I'm not very good at it, but hey, I try. So
that's all we can do. Okay,
there, nice and quick out of the way there.
Yes.
Let's see.
So yeah, what I was going to say. Yeah, what film has a one-handed arm wrestler, a guy named Zeus, a robot, a superhero, and people as water? Yes. That would be this film.
I mean, this one. Yeah, I think we should probably start off by just asking the question, what made us choose this one? Because this, in case you haven't been keeping up, this is our choice from Netflix that they released in the previous month.
Yes, please don't check your theater listings for Turbo Kid. You will probably not find it, unless it's some sort of art house type place. It
was released January 2015. Well, it premiered at Sundance January 2015, and then it was released in August, and it just got added to Netflix last month. Yeah, and I couldn't find any box office information. I couldn't find any sales information. The only thing I could find was the US box office, and that was it. Like, not even the Canadian, because this is a Canadian film, and it made just shy of $70,000 in the US box office.
Yeah. And real quickly, up at the top, I wanted to get out of the way. Of course, as are all episodes, this is a spoiler episode, and
yes.
I would strongly encourage anyone to watch the film first. Although, I think in this case, I don't know if spoilers would take away too much from your enjoyment of the film.
No, although the fact that you said that there's a robot in it,
I think yes. Okay, so we're a little past that point anyway.
Yeah.
Well. Depending on what logline you read, that is given away in some of the synopses that I found. So
yeah, true.
Yeah. I saw "robotic girlfriend" mentioned a couple of times.
I was glad that I didn't look anything up before watching it. I saw the trailer.
See, I wish I had known that, because I knew that going in,
right?
And I would have liked to have just thought that she was just an eccentric, person, but.
Yeah, and it was a nice little reveal there, I think.
So I'm glad you got to enjoy that. So yes, what did make us choose this?
Obviously, every month we now look at what has been released and decide what we think might be a good thing to do. And I know that there were a few last month that we were like umming and ahhing about.
But as I recall, I think of films that we had at least one of us had seen, or both had seen prior.
Yeah, most of the time. And then this one popped up, and I'd seen the trailer sometime last year, and I thought, oh, that looks really cool, and I'd completely forgotten about it. And then you just sent me a text saying we need to do something.
I think I'd maybe gotten in like 5 minutes into it or something. And like, what about doing Turbo Kid? Can we do Turbo Kid? And here we are.
So there we go. Alright, so, no budget, no real box office to speak of. Directed by 3 people. And I'm going
one less than Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. I'm going to pronounce these the way that I believe that they would be pronounced. So I apologise if I am adding the slight spin on it that isn't actually
French,
there.
For any French speakers or French Canadians.
And it really is just the first name. It's Francois Cimerad. And then Anouk Wissel and Johan Carl Wissel. And so I imagine that those last two are related or something along those lines.
I would think so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then as we were looking at, I didn't write them down, but the one of the two people that was in charge of the music on this film was also the cinematographer. Mm-hmm. Not something you see.
No. And also Anouk Wissel played the mother of the kid in the movie.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
All right then.
Yeah. So a lot of people doing double duty.
Yeah.
At least.
And then just to give you the cast very quickly, you have Monroe Chambers as the kid, and when we say the kid, like, he has no name. There is no name ever given in this film.
Pretty much, the narrator from Fight Club. Yeah.
Lawrence LeBeouf, and no relation to Shia there, plays Apple.
Happily for her.
Yeah. Yes, well done.
He's got to get in a LeBeouf jab every once in a while.
Let's see. Edwin Wright plays Skeletron. Aaron Jeffrey as Frederick, and the wonderful Michael Ironside
yes,
as
bravo,
Zeus.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And there was one other guy in it that I was going to write down his name. I completely forgot. He's got one of those faces.
Romano or Zari.
Yeah, the guy that played Bagu. You're going to watch it and go, I've seen him in something, and you probably haven't.
Or you have and you've forgotten what it was and you'll never remember.
Yeah. The one thing, I was looking him up before we started this, and the one thing that I have seen that he was in, which is the only possible thing I could have seen him in, was the television show Mutant X.
Okay.
One episode of the television show Mutant X. So, yeah, I don't think I recognised him. But there we go. Alright, so...
Yeah.
What is this film about, Brian?
What is it about?
Why don't we go with our favourite synopsis?
Okay,
website?
we'll go to one of my reliable websites here. In a post-apocalyptic wasteland, a comic book fan dons the persona of his favorite hero to save his enthusiastic friend and fight a tyrannical overlord. See, there it says friend. But yeah. So essentially, yeah.
I'll go with that one.
As a one reviewer on Rotten Tomatoes said, Mad Max with BMX.
Yeah, and
I wrote down in my notes Twilight Mad Max.
Kinda,
a little bit, but but Twilight in the best sense of the word. Yeah.
Yes,
all the good parts, none of the bad.
I'll say that I can't think of any good parts, but yes.
Yes, it was just a
Twilight,
impromptu note. It wasn't the best comparison
Twilight,
at the
if it
time.
was good.
But yes, I prefer the other Rotten Tomatoes reviewers' description.
Yeah. Now...
Yeah, where the hell do we get into this thing?
Well, I was just going to say, the opening, you see, like, the panning across of stuff, and I am a fan of the Fallout game, so the second it starts panning across, I was like, these people played Fallout.
Yes.
You're panning across the wasteland of New Vegas or the wasteland from Fallout 3. It looks identical to that.
And I want to say one comment, then I want to back up just a bit, but I wanted so much more of the narrator. It was the coolest narrator. I wrote cool narrator down.
Yeah.
That was a perfect voice for that world.
Yeah.
And narrating.
And also it was very well, it immediately made you realise what film it was trying to be when it was like, yes, the future, mankind has destroyed itself. And it pops up on screen as 1997.
The year 1997. Yes. But prior to that, real quickly, we talked just briefly before we started recording. There must have been roughly about 2,000 production companies involved in this.
Yes. What the hell's with that? I thought,
well, it's going to end eventually because that's been a joke in like Family Guy or Simpsons or wherever. Like, a lot of production companies. Oh, the movie's going to start. Nope, no, it's not. Yeah. No, it's not. And it is seriously probably, I'd say, 12 to 15 production companies.
Yeah, I kind of need I kind of need the CinemaSins to rip into it, just because then they'll, like, rather than 45 seconds of logo, it'll be like a minute and a half of logo.
Yes, and I think the very first one, number one in Laserdisc sales, which I was discussing with Paul. Don't know if that's a joke or serious, but either way, I found it hilarious.
Yeah, it's either
it really set the mood for me.
It's either a perfect joke for the film or a really nice little note.
Yeah, good for them if they're number one in Laserdisc sales. Somebody's got to be.
I don't know.
Probably just two of them out there still selling Laserdiscs.
Yeah,
so he's beating the other guy. Good for him.
I think it was them and probably the Kung Fury guys.
Laser Unicorn. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So. Okay, where to go from there?
Where do we start?
That is an excellent question.
So yes, this feels very much like an 80s kid action film.
That's exactly what it's like. As far as I can tell, meant to pay homage to those 80s action adventure films that weren't necessarily well done, but you could crank them out and they're low budget, and kids would just eat them up. Just because they were just dumb, idiotic popcorn movies where you could just let it wash over you for an hour and a half and go back today.
Yeah, and this film, I feel that they probably paid Michael Ironside more than they had a production budget for this thing. Like,
I don't know. I bet you he didn't. I bet he just made scale.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, but still, do you think that scale is higher than? Okay.
Yeah, because I think what they did was they wanted to make it feel like the low budget thing, so they probably said we are going to go as low budget as we possibly can.
Well, I don't know. That could have been. I don't know if that was a choice or not. They may not have had no other choice than to go low budget.
Well, maybe, but it kind of felt like, especially with some of the blood effects, it kind of felt like I was rewatching Evil Dead.
Yeah. Very thin spray.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. Like, it was one of those things where this has gore in it, but it's cartoony.
It's Kill Bill violence, where there's just a floor full of blood and people sliding around. And it gets cartoonish. Yeah.
And someone's hand getting cut off, and all you just see is like spurt, 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 spurt.
Yeah, torso getting cut off, and the hips just spurting.
Yeah, a very, very interesting film.
Excuse me, folks. Yes, but yeah, we'll get to one of the later scenes where it goes beyond ridiculous. I think Paul might know what I'm referring to.
Well, I mean, there's a few.
We'll get there. Yeah, but with bodies piling up is all I'll say. Yeah,
bodies definitely piling up.
First thing I wrote down in my notes, I just wanted to read this, was yummy, yummy, delicious nostalgia.
Yeah,
I wrote that down during the opening credit sequence where he's just doing BMX tricks off of the off of the dunes.
Yeah, the nice slow motions.
So I'm like, this is fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
and I was on board with the score. I wrote the score down. I've watched it twice. The score I thought was incredible.
Yeah, really well done.
It felt part 16-bit, arcade kind of music, and then it felt part apocalyptic, serious.
Do you know what it actually
wasteland
kind of reminded me of? And this is like going to be a random thing. It kind of reminded me of some of the music in Flight of the Navigator.
I don't recall the music.
Obviously they had. Like the popular song, like the "I Get Around" song, but the music equated to like when they were just simply flying through the stuff and the stuff there. It made me just remember that occasionally. Like, it was a very random thing.
Just like anytime there was a pursuit or anything, the music just drove that action so well. I loved it, and like that first scene too, where he's I don't know what song it is, but it transitions into the Walkman. I thought that was a beautiful transition. It was just for like 2 seconds, but it was such a well done thing.
Yeah, for those of you that haven't seen it, like, just go watch it. But he's looking around, he's scavenging in the wasteland. You hear this.
I love scavenging.
You hear this music just starting, and it's a song. And then he's like just in his little home, and he's messing around, putting stuff away, picks up his Walkman, and he hits play, and the music just gets louder. And it's like, oh, this is that music. Very well done by them.
And it just, for that character, brought, like, the importance of music for him. Cause, I mean, like, the battery dies before the song ends, and I'm like, well, okay, that's as much music as I get until I find more batteries. Now it's like really sad and depressing for me, but
the only thing that I didn't like about that scene is he didn't remove the covers and then roll the batteries to try and get the charge.
Technical issues for Paul. Okay,
right, it was a little odd because he did the frustration of, hey, no, hit, like, but he doesn't check the batteries.
He did the Russian space station fix, which did not work.
Yes, he wanted to go home.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. And
I kind of feel like we need to review Armageddon at some point.
I think
the number of times we've referenced it now.
I think we need to do like just 4 episodes, broken down audio commentary. That would be pretty fantastic. But I will say, get out of my motherfucking comfort zone, Paul.
I'm sorry. All right.
Sorry, okay. No, we kind of have to be to record.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're actually okay. Good.
Yeah,
we're good. All right, I just put my arm out.
We are the arm's length away.
And my man area.
Yes, I might just lean a little bit, just get closer in.
I love that running line. I wish there was 1 or 2 more I could have actually done with my motherfucking comfort zone.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, there's a point where the kid...
We don't need to explain it all.
The kid bumps into someone. The reason I'm explaining it is because the way they bring it back is fantastic. The kid bumps into someone who's like, to get out of my motherfucking comfort zone. So, what are you talking about? It's like, well, the zone around me. Like, everyone must keep away. And then later in the film... this random girl that he comes across, hugs him, and he's like, "Get out of my man zone." Yeah,
which sounds like a different area.
Yes, it's the fact that he sort of remembers what it was, and he's just repeating it because he's like, "No, I'm manly." Yes.
And then later when she's riding the bike, you're right. Your zone is comfy. Or what is it? I don't know.
Yeah, so like, yes, your zone is quite comfy. Yes.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, it's some excellent writing. Some people that really knew what they were doing with this stuff. Mm-hmm. And the right amount of cheese, I think.
It was. Yes, and check out our Film for Thought episode, which I don't know which will be out later, but upcoming.
Yeah, it'll be following this one.
Yes, we'll be, check it out, but we'll be discussing something that might be connected to this film, which runs a line of how close can you get to cheese, or how much cheese is too much cheese.
Yes, exactly. When do you stop and just go, like, okay, we need to be more serious?
When do you switch gears into, drama? And it's just a beautiful orchestration of that up and down in this movie that makes it work so well.
And another great thing I liked was the little nods to other films and other things, and also they gave a self-spoiler. I don't know if you were really noticing it, and again, as we say, the spoilers for the film, so you have been warned. There's a point where after he meets a girl and she follows him back to his house, and she pours him the cereal. Did you see what the cereal was called? Yes. It was the French name for Soylent Green.
Yes.
And then, of course, later you have the line of, the water, it's people. Yes. the nod to Soylent Green there. And I had not seen the film Soylent Green myself, but I have seen enough stuff that I know exactly what
enough, of all the pop culture references to it.
And as I was watching the film, I wrote down a note like, oh, that's really cool. They have a Soylent Green cereal. That's a really nice little random thing that they put in there. And then when they're like, oh, this machine turns people into water.
Yes.
It's like, got it.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that once, but it's been so long ago. I just rarely don't know, recall much. And apologies, good listeners. I am struggling through a cough, so I don't want to make Paul edit all the way around that, so I just wanted to acknowledge it.
No, yeah, that's right. I think after the second time you did it, I was like, I'm not editing this out.
Yeah, I just cannot get it out, so apologies. I will do my best. Apple. I want to talk about Apple because I love Apple, and
yes,
I never thought I'd say I love Apple because that is what stupid, crazy Gwyneth Paltrow named her kid, and I'm not a fan of the fruit.
yeah. But, I mean, I'm a fan of it only because I drink cider, so that's why.
I like it obliterated.
Yes.
Apples.
Yes, the fermented version.
Yeah. Fermented or sauced. But
now,
yes, this character, I loved her from the beginning. Just the enthusiasm, which, as you say, could have come off as just overly cheesy or not worked out as well. But
it just became a character that you knew something was wrong. Like, I assumed when, obviously I didn't know the robotic girlfriend side of it, I assumed that whatever had happened to her as a kid had driven her insane.
There we go again. Yeah.
The kid sees his parents being killed in front of him, but he just grows up to survive in the wasteland. Whereas this person grew up to just be fanatically dependent on one person after another.
The second time I was watching it, I had the thought of like Lorenz, I guess, is if I'm saying that correctly. Yes, I thought Lawrence. She must have had a tough job because she is smiling the entire film, and her cheeks must have been killing her at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
There's a constant smile because the character is so enthusiastic.
She must have had to suck on some ice cubes in between takes.
Seriously, I couldn't think. I felt bad for her. I'm like, I don't like smiling that much in a year. But
as I said, my cheeks hurt just thinking about that. I can't.
That poor girl.
And I did notice in the first scene, I thought that her eyes are unusually.
They were like Elijah Wood eyes to the extreme.
Yeah, which of course comes back later when. Shocker, for anyone that has been listening to us talking about it.
She already tuned out, I understand.
She is a robot. And then the second that came up, I just thought, the robot is called Apple. Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Why wouldn't it be called Apple?
Yes, as the kid says.
I'm kind of surprised that and again, this is spoiler for the end of the film, that the other robot wasn't called Bill or something. Like, they just... or Lisa,
I didn't know if there was anything like too deep about that, but I didn't care.
I mean, maybe...
Maybe there's a Garden of Eden thing there where the singularity, I don't know.
Possibly, yeah. Or we might be thinking too much about this and there could just be something in Canada that makes sense. Like,
or maybe her original owner named her Apple.
Probably that.
And they were stupid. Maybe it was Gwyneth Paltrow's robot.
Yeah, I do.
It was Apple's friend, and so she just named it Apple. So,
I get the feeling that there actually is no reason why she was called Apple. That's just the name.
Let's not go cross-eyed over it. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
So I did enjoy the point where you realise the film was just leaving reality behind.
Yes.
Now, you have this world that's been set up. Like, obviously, it's kind of Mad Max-y, so you accept some of the stuff that they do. Mm-hmm. Then you find out that the girl is a robot. I thought, before the actual reveal, I thought that he'd shot her in the head, but because of the helmet, she'd actually survived. So, and then when the actual reveal was like, oh, okay, that's nice. Mm-hmm. And then at the 30-minute point, and this film is an hour and 30 minutes long, so it was nice that they didn't wait very long to actually get him into the turbo guy, but... He comes across the actual
Turbo Rider.
Turbo Rider, Turbo Man is the Jingle All the Way.
Yes.
But he comes across the actual Turbo Rider and the actual suit that actually shoots bolts of actual energy at people and explodes them. And I was like, all right, the film is just going there.
So I wanted to talk to you about that. So this was a real war hero. I guess in this world, of course.
It seems like what happened was this person actually existed, and then the comic book
paid homage to sell. If you read the front of the comic book, it says like buy war bonds. Now.
I would say
so created to sell war bonds.
I would say a la Captain America, like that style of thing where he existed, and then in that universe, TV shows sprung up around him.
And the mythology was born.
And then I guess he just crashed.
I guess with a video played over and over.
And the activation being just one of those lightning ball thing. I like that.
Yes, the Tesla balls or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what those are called, but I like that.
They were in Spencer Gifts everywhere in the 90s. Probably still are. Spencer Gifts, I think, is stuck in 1997.
I'll say, if you can find a Spencer Gifts at this point.
Yeah.
So they did just... We're like, okay, yep, we're going with this. All right.
I love too when he says like, well, I can never live up to Turbo Rider, and she's like, yeah, you're right. You're probably right. You can be Turbo Kid.
Yeah, you might like Turbo Kid.
The name of the movie. Yeah.
Roll credits.
Oh my god, there was just so many wonderful sequences in this movie. Like that's why I'm having trouble like deciding where to go.
I know. I think we should talk about the prosthetics and stuff.
The prosthetics, okay.
Because like this is one of those things where if you are like looking, then it's like, well, that's obviously a prosthetic. That's obviously a prosthetic. There's one point where Frederick gets his hand cut off, and the same as in Evil Dead, when his hand is cut off and you see the stump is as long as his other arm plus hand. So it's like, well, it's very... He clearly didn't actually have his hand cut off, or they didn't get someone who doesn't have a hand. They just put a stump over his hand. So he's just got one long arm now.
One long arm with no fingers.
And that, in a lot of, like, say, high-budget films, that you would say, oh, well, that's just cheap, that doesn't work, that takes you away. And in this, it's like, well, of course that's what they did.
Well, yeah, that's the world they built, and they stuck with it.
And then everyone that ever gets slashed or attacked, suddenly their chest becomes twice as big as all of this stuff starts gushing out.
Yes. Oh, you guys don't make me laugh here.
It's like they all of a sudden turn into someone that's gained 50 pounds and
just
lumbering around.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But it really did it. I couldn't tell like exactly what they were going for. I cannot get into the mindset of the people that were making the film, but it felt to me like every time that happened, I was kind of watching something that the kid from the film Super 8, like the film they're trying to make, it feels like this is the film they would have done next. Like, this is where they would have gone.
Oh, that's excellent. I love that. Yeah, so they did their cheapo zombie movie.
Yeah.
And then they do their Mad Max homage. Yeah. That is brilliant. I love that. Yeah. I like to think that's the movie they made now.
New headcanon. There we go.
Production value. Production value. Production value.
Yeah, and as we said, for this film, it just works. Like,
and then another parallel, Super 8 was essentially made as like a love letter to Spielberg from J.J. Abrams, and this is pretty much and by the way, I'm sorry, I hate that term love letter, right. But it's just the quickest way to explain.
But I'm going to use it again.
Yeah, but I'm going to use it again. And just like this is a love letter to those 80s action films and apocalyptic movies, Mad Max being the main one, but there were a lot in the 80s of Mad Max ripoffs.
Well, and that's probably what this was aimed at, and I like the idea of, imagine if Mad Max had to have been done on bikes.
Yes, I love that there are zero cars. Thank you for bringing that up again, because I mentioned it briefly, Mad Max with BMX bikes. But yeah, zero like workable cars in this movie. Like
everyone gets around on a bike.
Like Frederick just rolling up on a bike with like a little buggy or whatever, a little wagon in the back.
Yeah, basically imagine if a kid was trying to build a motorcycle with a sidecar, but they only had access to bicycles. This is what this man has created.
Everyone getting around on bicycles was just absolutely hilarious to me.
And now, one thing that I I can only assume that the character was killed off screen, and that was it. Frederick was looking for his brother.
Yeah.
Never finds him.
Well, that was the guy...
There was only one thing in it at all where Ironside's character says that he wants to be reunited with his brother, and he says, "I'm going to grant that."
Yeah.
But then...
Well, he was killed.
Well, that's the thing. You never see the brother, so the only...
No, the brother, to me, was the guy on his knees in the pool pit, and he gets his head smashed in with a cinder block hammer thing. He said, "Think of your sacrifice. Your sacrifices for the good of the people, or whatever."
Yeah,
that was his brother. I thought.
Well, so that's the thing, and then it's like there's no point at all where the character of Frederick says or obviously sees okay, he's clearly just dead and gone. He's just like, "I'm going to get my brother," and then he's captured. "I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get..."
Well, I think he just made the connection. His brother's dead, and he's not the kind of character to sit and cry about it.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely not. He is the gruff survivor. And yeah, there seemed to be an abundance of accents in this film. Frederick seemed to me to be a little Australian.
There was a little bit of an Australian cowboy thing going on there, yeah.
And then you got Ironside, who's just Ironside.
Yeah, just that beautifully deep, grovelly voice, yeah.
Yeah. And then everyone else was just kind of generic accent type thing. But yeah, it was interesting to see that they were like, okay, well, so this has to be somewhat Mad Maxy. This guy has an Australian accent.
Yeah, we got that checked off the list. Okay, yeah. Can we talk about some blades and fire? Oh,
blades and fire.
Some freaking sharks with some freaking laser beams on their freaking heads.
Yep. Yeah. There was a scene.
That was a bit that worked. Yeah, set up kind of secondary to an initial scene where this competitive arm wrestling world that Frederick lives in.
Yeah, so somehow I don't 100%.
Where it was like a toaster running or something the first time, or
basically, the first time you see it, there's two toasters on either side.
So there's really some high stakes to winning these arm wrestling competitions.
And attached to the toasters are branding irons, so they get hot enough that whoever loses gets branded on the hand. And this Frederick guy has never lost, and so when he is captured by the Ironside Zeus character. Rather than having a toaster with a branding iron, it's blender blades going with fire
shooting out of it
for about 5 seconds,
and then technical issues. And he's trying to hit the button rapidly. It was such a wonderful bit, and once again, writing that line of you could either have a gut reaction this is stupid, or that's brilliant, and that's brilliant.
I could definitely see why people wouldn't like this film, but
once you're on board in the first 10 minutes of the movie, then you're on board.
Yeah.
If you don't like that, then stop the movie because it's not for you.
Yeah, definitely not,
because it's going to keep going along that path.
It is just wonderful how they're able to play with this stuff, and just the way that every character, no matter what, acts exactly like they should. So you have the gruff Australian survivor is always the one-liner.
They really stick to the archetypes really well. The dialogue in that Blades and Fire scene too, where I say, "You have an eye for the obvious," and then later, I think Frederick says something about giving him hands or something like that. Or from where I only see one.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think
really cheesy lines, but they work in the scene.
Zeus says something about keeping eyes on him, and then he said, "From where I stand, I only see one." And then when Frederick gets his hand cut off, and he says, "I'm going to kill you with my bare hands." And of course, Zeus comes back with, "Where I see you, you have one."
Oh my god, yeah. So, could easily be a really groan-worthy line.
And I would argue that it is, but that doesn't matter.
But it's good.
Yeah, that is this film. It has those moments, but you roll with it. It's fine.
Can I say for merchandising, if there, I would love a gnome stick.
That was an immediate jump to Evil Dead 3 for me.
Yeah.
This is my gnome stick.
Yes.
Like, all right.
Oh, she's so excited about the gnome stick. Oh, too. And then, please, can we get to the pit battle where he goes to rescue her, and he's like, oh, it's just hilarious. And then Bloody, like, yeah, I'm here to rescue the girl, and she, points to herself. Yeah, that's me.
or when he's saying, like, yeah, who keeps you?
Yeah,
and it's Zeus, and then everyone's like, who gives you Zeus? And then she's like, yeah, and then the last one, like, who keeps you entertained? And she just goes, Zeus.
Yeah, we're about to die, but she doesn't know that. Yeah, and then where he hands her back the gnome stick, and he's like, oh yeah, you're so great, or whatever, and like, you have to hit that guy right over the head. Immediately she starts running.
Like, all right.
All right, I guess that's our cue.
Yeah, and the fun part about that is, like, if it were a standard action film, like, that wouldn't have worked. If it's a cheesy 80s, somewhat bad action film, the fact that she runs at the guy going, for about 5 seconds and he doesn't even turn around until the end. Like, that's this film, everyone.
Yeah.
It's almost along the lines of the Austin Powers guy getting run over by a
steamroller. I was just had that picture running in my head right now.
Yeah, it's just every little thing like that just works really well in this film.
Yeah, and that was the first moment, that pit battle, where they really indulged the bloodiness of it, and just some horrible deaths.
Oh yeah, wonderful.
Yeah,
and especially for the last scene, which we need to we need to get to.
Oh my god! Yes.
But yeah, they do not skimp on allowing the blood to be seen.
No.
Which is great. I mean, as I said, the energy blast glove that he has will disintegrate.
Eviscerates. Yeah.
Yeah.
Turn into a pile of bloody sludge. Yeah.
People explode, literally, just from this thing.
Yeah.
And what I actually kind of liked is when he first got it and he sees there are 2 charges, and then he fires off the 2 charges, and he's just like, yeah, I've got this now. And it's like, it does now say empty. Like, you have no idea how this glove works, and you have fired.
You don't know the recharge time. Yeah. You don't know the life of this device.
It's like, it is how I think a kid would be when he first gets this thing. It's like, wow, I've got this thing and it works, yay! And then it's like, okay, you for all you know, have a glove that is now useless.
Yeah, now it's just a cool looking glove, maybe, depending on your idea of cool gloves.
Yeah. And I was actually fully willing to accept that he had used up his charges, and now he was going to be just fighting using other means, but no, then they gave it back, which fair enough, because it gave you some fairly nice fight scenes.
Yes, it certainly did.
Now, and before we get to the final fight scene, which I think should be like the nice like end to this thing, a couple of things that I wrote down. Number 1, the Zelda hearts.
Yes, thank you. I was wanting to get to that too. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a point. There's a point where you see that she has a certain amount of life, and she shows like, oh look, this is my heart monitor, and it's just the Legend of Zelda.
2 rows of hearts. Yeah.
And it's like, well, what happens when you get to the end? It's like, I'll die.
It's like, oh yeah, I'll die.
I will permanently shut down.
The most enthusiastic, I'll die ever. Oh yeah, I guess I'll die.
And I love just that little touch. Just like, again, they're saying somewhat retro with everything. And then, as always, duct tape
fixes everything. Yes, thank you, because duct taping the hammers together, yes, that works. Duct taping, there was a second thing he duct taped or something. The gnome stick he duct taped. And then robot head on robot body. Yeah. Don't connect the wires.
Wires still
just
visible.
Duct tape it around, and it'll fix itself.
Yeah.
I love it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Like, I had no doubt that it was going to work.
Yes, I'm like, oh well, they've established duct tape fixes everything already, so yeah.
But it is that thing of like, oh, that's all. That's okay. Yeah.
I would like to know. I mean, in that world, was his thinking, yes, this is going to work, or I just can't look at her headless or I just can't look at her bodiless head, so I got to put it on it and then walk away.
I think the only thing in there was like, I don't know
what to do. You didn't think that was going to work?
I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Just like a really young kid that breaks his mom's plate or something, or just I'll just hide it, or it was just like a panicked fix.
It's like I just pictured that meme online where it's like it's a dog sitting in the captain's seat in an airplane, just like with a hat on, and then just the words underneath. I have no idea what I'm doing. I hope this works. Duct tape. There we go. Done. Mm-hmm. And yes, it does. It does work because this is Turbo Kid.
I did want to bring before we get to the final thing. I know we got to. Like I said, so many great one-off little scenes. Videotape fire. I loved the videotape fire. The cassette. Or the VHS fire. Yeah. That was just a beautiful little acknowledgement to the 80s. Yeah. And, that's pretty much all those are good for now. Stealing fires. I think that's also what you say. It's like, I still have like 3.5 hearts left or 6.5 hearts left or something like that. Gut cycle, I called it. I love the gut cycle.
That was... And a great...
that doesn't look good at all. That looks really bad.
Yeah, and just to say, well, as you can see, oh my God, this is attached to your gut. Yeah. And so,
immediately
okay, they're there. Like, well, that was disappointing. Yeah.
Do you know how long it took to set all this up? I love that because... anytime you see a villain go through something elaborate like that, you have that thought, and I love that they acknowledge it. Yeah. Like, wow, that had to have taken forever to, plan and work out and get it working. No, and he acknowledges it perfectly.
I had to cut it here. I had to sew this together. Attach it to the
bike. Well, we got to do it still.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll understand.
Yes. And then just horrible guts falling out and wrapping around the back tire of the bike.
Yeah. And it's the I have no idea what they actually used for that. But I do not believe it remotely looked like it would at all. It's just this long sausage that comes out. It's basically all
supposed to be. I think it's intestines or whatever. But oh my lord, yeah.
That was great.
Okay, so should we get to the finale?
I think
if we're if we're using bad French. Okay.
The finale. Yeah. So, as Brian said a little earlier, that there is the fight scene where the bodies are piling up.
Literally. Piling on top of each other.
Yes. This final fight scene includes people being blown up and halves of their bodies landing on top of other bodies. Other people that then walk around with these on them.
So hips and legs on top of heads, vice versa.
I do believe that there is one point where there is one person walking around and they have someone's torso on top of them, and on top of that torso
is someone's at the legs. End of the
and they're just like stumbling around. And absolutely no effort is made to remove them.
No, they're just stumbling around, and it is just absolute camp at its finest.
It's some of my favorite action little things that I've seen ever. I think it's just they were having clearly so much fun making this stuff.
Clearly, yes.
and also, I'm sure you noticed, even if it was only on the second showing or whatever, the punches coming nowhere near their marks.
No, yeah.
There's one point where there's a woman beating up the kid, and it's clear that the punches only came within a foot of the face.
That was just Zeus's little lieutenant or whatever. Yeah, the one in the golden chest plate or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like you see her go to it, and it's like, well, maybe you stopped, I don't know, 30 centimeters in front of the face.
I couldn't tell if that was just a cheap or if that was deliberate, because a lot of those 80s movies were very obvious in that the contact was nowhere near happening.
It had the like the
the almost
sounds.
gunshot sound effect for a punch, or
punches always sound like someone's fired a gun at the same time someone's doing a whip, like
whip, or like bashing a wall with a hammer or something.
The punches sound ridiculous and they never hit.
No, never ever.
So it was so well done. And then the final reveal that the Michael Ironside character is another robot.
Yeah.
I didn't write down that it's like CC1 something
corporate companion something. Yeah.
And the idea is that he basically killed his creator, it seems, moments after he was created.
So my issue is obviously I'm just having fun here nitpicking, but so man created these robots.
Yeah.
What use for a corporate companion is there to have like mouth lightning and
to have Godzilla powers?
And why put that little add-on in your corporate companion? Because once you're created as a robot, you can't develop new skills.
No, I think they were there for reasons.
Okay.
Yes, definitely reasons.
Okay.
No, I think it's just one of those things of like, if man is going to create robots, they're going to create giant killer robots. There's no two ways about it.
Yes. I had to think back because they show in a flashback, or in a couple flashbacks, what happened to his parents.
Yes.
And you find out, of course, huge spoiler, Zeus and Skeletron were responsible.
Yes, they were.
For each, and then... there's a callback to it. If I'm going to die, at least I'm going to make it memorable. Or something. And she, what was it? That take out his eye?
It's a crossbow.
Yeah, crossbow. Yeah. So I love that because I'm like thinking, wait, he's a robot, but you never see the that come out of the eye.
No, yeah, so, you see him basically kind of snap it off.
Yeah.
In his eye. And then also the callback when he gets hit with the crossbow in his shoulder, and he snaps it off in the same way, which I thought was kind of nice. So,
yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so many things I want to talk about, but we are running out of time.
I know. I had to say I enjoyed that they did let Apple die at the end.
See, I'm still having trouble with it. I loved her so much that I wanted her to live. I was feeling for the kid because, he flat out says, I don't want to be alone anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, that's sad. And he had her, friendship for maybe a week or something.
I felt like it was only like 2 days.
Yeah, I was going on the high side. Yeah,
it seemed like there were only a couple of nights in this film.
Yeah,
everything happened fast.
Very fast. Sounds like a total. Well, she dies 3 times.
Yes, I suppose.
Yeah, well, at least he thinks she's dead 3 times, or twice, and then she actually is dead the 3rd time.
Yes, and then she also just has the power down moments.
But I'm not counting those. But the first was when she gets shot, and he thinks she's dead, and then she sits back up, and then the decapitation, and then the atomic explosion of Zeus.
Yes,
which being covered by a robot will make you live through an atomic explosion.
Oh, yeah.
I found that out. So educational as well.
Well, I don't know exactly how atomic...
Well, it looked like a mushroom cloudy type thing.
There was a mushroom cloud in there, yes.
Yes. Okay, I don't know what kind of bomb it was, but...
There was definite, force waves happening there that would have killed someone if they did not have a robot shielding them. So, yes.
And then they have the I wrote down in one of my notes the stars explained via Lion King scenario. Yes. When they're laying and looking at the stars.
Definitely. I was a little okay.
But it was a nice little callback to that when she says I'll be up there or whatever. It was sweet.
And then just before the very end of the movie, there was one.
I clapped like an insane person in my apartment alone. Like, yay, Apple! I was fucking 11 years old cheering, and it was very embarrassing. I'm glad I was the only one there, and now I'm sharing it with all of you.
And now everyone knows.
Yes. That's why I'm trying to be honest with the people, Paul.
You shouldn't do that.
Shouldn't. Yeah, it's a big mistake. I booed and threw my controller at the TV. Okay. That's what happened. Oh my gosh. Can I do a rapid fire of some notes?
Go ahead.
Okay. The flamingos. Flamingos mean paradise? Is that what you got out of that?
Basically,
okay,
yes.
It means a better time, symbolism for him, bringing the flamingos, collecting them.
I do think that the idea is, obviously, he's got that poster of flamingos in, Welcome to Paradise with the flamingos. So for him, it's I'm building my paradise with them, yeah.
Yes, definitely what I got that. The importance of the viewfinder, a gift from mom, and especially the slides in it.
Yeah.
So it's always around his neck, and even when he lets her look through it, he keeps it around his neck.
Yeah. He causes his own almost strangulation at that point.
Yes, he definitely gets. Yeah, they're in his motherfucking comfort zone.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He starts getting annoyed that she's pulling it. It's like, it's a viewfinder. You need to look through the damn thing.
Yeah. Was there a connection with the dinosaurs? Because you see dinosaurs pop up a lot. Dinosaurs are mentioned a lot.
Well,
so just as far as just being extinction events.
Well, yeah, I think the idea is that the dinosaurs, as he puts it, the dinosaurs were killed in an explosion, and then obviously humanity basically did the same thing to itself. Yeah. And then when he is in that weird gas, which is never explained for any reason, but whatever, that he's walking among the dinosaurs there. So I think it's...
And there's the mention of the T-Rex or something, and then she pukes up the food on him, and she said T-Rex.
Yeah. So I think it's supposed to be a sort of a slight commentary on ourselves, we're no different from the dinosaurs.
It happened to us too.
Yeah.
I
mean, again, probably reading too much into it, but if I had to label it with something, that's what I'm going with.
I think I've gotten to almost everything I wanted to get to. I don't know. Do you have anything to add there, Paul?
I don't think so. The only other thing that I put down was that as I said, I can see why some people may not like it, but this is my sort of film. I enjoy it. It's very self-referential, and it knows exactly what it wants to do, and it does it. The blood is wonderfully over the top.
Yes.
It was so exciting to see that. Or it was almost as if Looney Tunes were going to do an action film. Splash!
Yeah, if you're actually going to see Wile E. Coyote just explode. And it is tough to pick out, but I think my favorite line might be, as of right now, I tend to watch this, I forget who says it, but says someone pissed off Zeus and he's on a warpath, and Apple goes, oh yeah, that was us. I don't know, just beautiful, just acknowledgement, and I love it. I don't know, I'm gushing here.
I also just really enjoyed that line because that's something you would have heard in the old Greek times when those gods were around. It was
Zeus.
Zeus on the warpath. Yeah,
Zeus. I didn't even think of it in that context. Oh my god!
All right, so shall we get to rating?
Sure. I don't know that there's any a lot of mystery about how we'll rate this.
Well, yes, and for those of you that don't know our rating system, we
explain it once every 20 episodes.
Yeah, we really should do it more often. And I've had people say to me that we have a very negative rating system.
Negative? But, well, that is just the way this... I can't help those are called negative numbers.
No, what we've decided...
I think it's a very positive outlook, because we start off every film as being perfect.
Yeah, we want every film to be perfect, and then we just take away if it's not. So... Yes. Yes, that is how we...
So you have the ability to not lose points, i.e. Martian.
Yeah, I was going to say, there has only been one film we've done so far that has received a 0 from us.
Which is still incredible for me that we gave that to Martian and not Lincoln. But
I think that there were a couple of things in Lincoln that we were just...
But this will be the third podcast we mentioned that on, so let's skip that.
Anyway. You start at 0, and then we take away... at our own discretion for any problems we had or things we feel could have been done differently.
Plot holes, bad acting.
And it is somewhat objective, so it's kind of half critical, half our own personal feeling, but that's...
And all reviews are subjective.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, occasionally I have given more of a... This is my critical view of it, but this is how I feel. This one is just going to be how I feel about it.
Yes.
And yeah, so you start off with like minus 0.1, minus 0.2, and then the further down you go, you start going, well, minus 6, minus 7.
We're not going to do minus 6.2.
Yeah, no, that's just not
what differentiates that from a minus 6.3 film.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will go first. And I thoroughly enjoyed watching this film. The acting was superb, and of course, when it comes to a film where the acting is supposed to be campy, you never know exactly if it's bad or if it's
exactly.
brilliant. So, really well done. I love the aesthetic of it. As I said, there were a couple of things that I was just kind of whatever, but that's in the world. So I think I'm going to go with a minus 0.4. 0.4. Yes, 0.4. Yeah, just because I can't bring myself to put it like super high, just because of the style of film. But and some people say, well, minus 0.4 is quite high, but I can't go higher than that. But
I understand because it's not. It set out to achieve, I think, what it set out to achieve, and that achievement wasn't super ambitious or super important to the culture.
For instance, I would say Kung Fury is pretty much the same as well. Like it's at that level of it. So I would never put it higher, even though like it does what it wants to do perfectly. It's just like I couldn't give it higher than that. But yeah, the brilliant film. I loved it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I loved this. I'm happy you enjoyed it. So, as you were kind of saying, you kind of do a critical review of it. What I've kind of been doing recently is a now rating, and then I kind of try to project how I'll feel in the future about it, because I feel like it'll lose a little bit. Tapering off somewhere.
Most films will, yes.
Because, if we revisited some of our ratings, I don't know if I would have rated some of them as highly as I did.
Or maybe some of them would be not as low.
Yes, but so I think I'm right there with you. Minus 0.4, minus 0.5. I mean, the score, the writing was just so well done. Something with 3 directors coming together this well is very, very rare.
Yeah,
I mean, 2 you can do because you got brothers doing it, or they play off of each other. 3, I don't know how that works.
I think the only reason it worked is because the 3 people that directed it were the 3 people that wrote it.
Yeah.
So So obviously they had the same vision if they wrote it.
Yeah. So it's somewhat like Lord of the Rings, where it was Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, and. What was the other one? Gosh dang it. Oh, sorry. But the writing partner. His wife, was that the Fran? Yeah. Either way. Yes. But yeah, kind of a team working together. I thought the acting was great. I loved the newcomers, at least for me. Newcomers, Lawrence and Monroe.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, definitely cannot call them newcomers.
Yes.
Like, they are not new to acting.
New to me, yes.
But yes, new to us.
And new to, I would say, most people who would be watching this.
And
outside of French Canada.
To tell people what I mentioned to you at the beginning, the person that plays Apple is 30 years old.
That is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
You can't see it. You really can't.
No, she looks like maybe 18 to 20 tops, something like that. But yeah, minus 0.4, minus 0.5, maybe as time goes by, up to maybe a minus 1 or something like that.
No,
but
I can definitely see that.
You can only go back to the well so many times on nostalgia, but it has more going for it than nostalgia. Yeah, it's just a fun, good time fucking movie. It's great.
You've seen it twice now.
Yes, I've seen it twice in 4 days. Yeah, 5 days, I guess. Yeah,
there you go.
And I'll probably watch it again before this month is out. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be
that's
interesting.
All. Unceremonious end. That's it. Bye, folks.
Definitely go see this one.
Go see it on your couch.
Yes. Go over to your sofa, sit down, and watch it.
Yes.
Crank it up as loud as you're allowed to in your living situation and enjoy.
Yes, definitely do that.
And then tell us how wrong we are when you don't like it.
yeah, definitely.
Or tell us how right we are.
Yeah, tell us how wrong, right, or we are.
Or how meh we are.
Yes, yeah, again, on Twitter, at BlokeBusters, Facebook.com/BlokeBusters, or email us, BlokeBusterPodcast@gmail.com. Any of those three, we'll get back to you. And, yeah, just let us know.
We appreciate your feedback.
Yeah, and also...
And suggestions.
Haven't mentioned this in a long time, but if you get a chance, do please go onto iTunes and give us a rating. Thank you to the 17 ratings we have had so far.
Please, take 2 seconds. So we really appreciate it.
You don't even need to write a review if you don't really want to. Just give us a star rating on how you think we're doing.
That would be great. Yes, and if you have a podcast, we would be happy to return the favor.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yes, let's look out for each other out there in the podcasting world.
Alright, well, I think that's it for me.
I think that's it for me, too.
Alright, well, I've been Paul.
And I've been Brian.
Dear friend.
Bye.